welcome to another Round the Rotary podcast with me, your host, JP Warren, and we're actually doing this in a pretty cool new location today. We are downtown at the Petroleum Club of Houston, but before we get kicked off, I got to say that Round the Rotary podcast is brought to you by Capital Petroleum Consultants. CPC specializes in project engineering and well site supervision, all disciplines of the oil and gas industry. Contact us through www.capitalpetroleumconsultants.com to see what CPC can do for you today.
Do you have that memorized?
Actually, it took me probably about, so I'm on I think this is my 88th or 89th episode, you know what I mean? And I've only done it a year. I've only done this podcast for about a year.
That's a lot of episodes for a year, man.
So I've read that nonstop, and one time I didn't have it up, and I just winged it. And it was just, I guess after reading it 83 times, you can actually just kind of go with it, yeah.
Just got to memorize, because you were just looking outside. That was just second nature to you.
I was actually talking to you that CPC has project engineers and well site supervision in all disciplines. So you just let me know right in here, right now on this podcast what we can do for you.
That's it. All right.
That's the sell.
I'm sold, JP. I'm sold.
So I'm sure people might have heard this voice before on the radio or seen his face. He's the host of the Oil and Money podcast, which is a podcast under the Digital Wildcatters group over there. A great group over there, crazy guys over there, but they're guys and girls. But
they're a wild bunch, man. They're a wild bunch.
They are making waves in the in our industry right now.
That's the only way to do it, man. This is it's kind of been it's been surrounded by good old boys for God knows how long now. I think it's nice to get the guys who are willing to move outside of that and try to be like, hey, listen, we're going to be the disruptors, and actually not only just be the disruptors, but tell everyone they're going to be the disruptors.
And own it.
Exactly. A lot of people, I mean, you've probably seen it a million times.
Talk to me.
How many people do you see that got to suit and tie on and they're, blabbering and, yes, A plus B equals C. But then as soon as they get out of work and go to the bar, they're act like
different person.
They're completely different people.
It's like a dark side.
Yeah. It really is.
It's like maybe if you show some more individual, first off, everyone, this is Yousuf Chaudhary, the Executive Vice President at Atlas Operating. So let's get that out of the way before we start continuing our conversation.
Fair enough.
No, but you're right, though. I mean, I remember I was like that when I started off in the industry. I was very this is proper, this is haircut and all this, like shaking hands, like this is what you got to do.
Yeah. But now you got that hair, man. I mean, that hair just stands out by itself. If I saw you just walking around, I'd be like,
what would you think I did?
Man, right
What
now,
do you think I did? Live with my parents, which isn't bad.
I would say either you live with your parents, which obviously isn't bad,
not bad.
Or you're a Playboy playmate.
Okay.
One or the other.
Playboy. Okay, I'll take that. You know what? It's probably it's like a never nude article. Like it won't be shirtless or it'll just be never nude. I'm not that comfortable with my summer bod.
Okay,
yet.
all right.
But that's
man, there's a study that's been done, and I'm not saying you got a dad bod, but women prefer dad bods.
Yeah, I think a group did that was pretty much primarily dudes with dad bods that did that. You know what I mean? It's not like this dude walks by the pool and my wife's like, look at that guy, and he's got like a love handles and all that stuff. That never happens. But
yeah. Oh no, I'm very comfortable with my sexuality. I'll look at a handsome dude like yourself.
Henry Cavill.
Oh man, just don't get me started. That guy's the definition of Superman.
I mean, he's on my wife's and mine celebrity list.
I mean, you kind of got the look, man, with the long hair, The Witcher. You got it going on.
Geralt.
Man.
So my wife has beaten The Witcher 3 or 4 times. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, she beat and yeah, she gets into it like there's I guess there's one thing you get into. We don't have to get into it this much, but it's like there's one thing there's this menage a trois scene. I think if you press the right buttons or make the right choices, she's like, oh, she can never get it.
Oh, man.
But she does it as like a joke.
Of course,
I've done everything in this game. I'm going to do this too.
Yeah,
yeah. And she looks at me, babe, hey, you trying a little bit too hard. Don't try so hard. Let it happen. Act like you got somewhere else to be.
Yeah.
All right, put it on them. Put it on them. So let's talk about disruption of the industry a little bit. I mean, that's kind of, I have nothing to, so Round the Rotary podcast, first off, you've got a podcast now too, and it's how many episodes?
Dude, we're only 7 episodes in, so I'm a baby compared to you with your almost 90 episodes.
So we're going to get to your podcast here in a little bit, but I guess doing stuff like this and being a disruptor such as Digital Wildcatters and going the old school, even marketing, you know what I mean? Even the marketing and then the presentations and the control, I guess, companies had on their people. You can't do this. You can't post this, can't post that. I think right now you're finding a lot of people getting their names out by being different.
Oh yeah, man.
By trying new shit.
Now.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Like I think the Digital Wildcatters guys, they really have found a cool niche in it, because even in our own office, dude, we're a pretty straight-laced company,
Right.
but things have changed so much that now it's no longer nothing is conventional anymore. There's so many different ways to, even the ways we look at deals, we look at them at so many different angles now.
Well, when did you see all this change, I guess?
I would say over the past few years, man. It's pretty recent. It's not like I want to say it's been gradual, but it's been a pretty drastic change over the past, let's say, 3 years.
It's accelerated too. I feel like a lot of things accelerated over this past year. I mean, because we're recording this on April 13th, 2021, but over the past year, a lot. I mean, what used to drive business and marketing and all that stuff is completely different right now.
Oh yeah, it's a different world we live in now.
I mean, you're finding people that are, hell of salesmen or hell of whatever they are, and they're great at their, but I've never, heard of them. Then suddenly you're seeing, like, I had Byron Varner on, and this dude catches critters, and he's like, call us for your, directional needs. Don't be a squirrel. And he's like releasing the squirrel. I'm like, where the fuck, where are you getting the squirrel at? Like, but the thing is though, like, I had him on, and I'm just so proud and blessed to have them on. Just like, you're just meeting all these great people just through their flares of individuality.
So how do you do that? Let me ask that. Like, how do you meet so many different people? Because you sound like the kind of guy that can meet, and I would like to think I have a similar trait. Yeah,
let's put the break.
I have a similar trait, but how do you? Because, dude, I've met a million different people that are just, they can only talk oil and gas, or they can only talk real estate, or they can only talk something. It seems like you could talk about everything. I feel like I could start talking about architecture, and you could start spitting out architecture.
Well, I mean, architecture is interesting, but over in the U.S., it's not truly called architecture. It's no, honestly, like, to me, if I take a customer to lunch or something like that, and you sit there and you talk shop for the whole lunch, it's like, man, I feel bad. Like, you're taking this guy or girl out to lunch, and you're sitting across the table, away from the office, and we're talking. It's pretty much a meeting, unless you have to discuss business, and that's one thing, you know what I mean? But to me, it's like, so when I first started off in the oil and gas industry, I was very much like that. Like, oh, what's coming up? Like, what's this? EOG's picking this up, Diamondback's doing this. Like, it was very like, da-da-da-da. But I kind of really found, I guess, my stride, during, 2014, 2015, when I was going through something personal in my life, I was going through a divorce, and I actually started sitting down with people and just kind of connecting with them, like, man, I'm feeling this. And honestly, like, I found through having these, like, genuine conversations and all that stuff about what's going on, it developed, and Chief Tozen said it the best way. They were true relationships. Then you start kind of, you get below the surface on that. Hey, we're in the same industry, and it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, man, like, if I'm talking to myself, like, let's say I met man, what would be interesting to talk about? What's something like unique or cool, or just kind of day-to-day stuff? Like, so it kind of took me going through some tough, a troubled time, just kind of putting yourself out there, and just kind of. Now, more than ever, I'm like, man, you can't. At first, I wanted to please everyone. I wanted 100% of the people to like me. Now it's like, man, you're not going to do that. So you're going to have 85% or 80 or 60% of people that love you, and the rest don't. But that's okay. That's okay. At least you're being yourself.
You know what, man? It's something really real about being personal and having those relationships, because there's too many people who fake it, man. And I think once you fake it, it's so obvious.
Can you read through that easily? Are you good at reading people?
You know what? I like to think I am, but there's so many times where I want to say I am, but there's a lot of times where I've been wrong.
Well, there's some master manipulators out there too. That kind of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think I'm. Oh man, I'm very quick to trust somebody, but I'm also very quick to be skeptical. So I'm I'm kind of in the middle. But there have been times where I'm like, this guy is absolutely genuine, and they were fucking with me the whole time.
So I I completely agree. I think that whole, I'm very quick to trust people. As far as being skeptical, no, not really. But once you start seeing someone that's very transparent, and like, they'll only call on you if they need something, or if you can help them, that to me, that just drives my interest in that up. It's like, man, you don't give a shit like what I'm going through.
There's nothing worse.
It's how can I help you?
There's nothing worse than the conversation before someone asks you for something. There's nothing worse than that.
It just makes it so cringy.
It's just, oh, hey, Yousuf, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, can you spot me $1,000 or something like this? And you're just like, dude.
You're like, lead off with that.
Dude, if you just asked me for $1,000, I'd give it to you. Just don't hit me with I haven't seen you in so long. I hope you're doing good and this and that. Dude, you don't give a shit about me. I'll actually respect you more if you're just like, hey, dude, listen, I need the money. As soon as I get the money, then let's talk.
Yeah,
I'll actually believe it then.
Yeah, then that's the thing. Just be truthful.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
attack it truth forward. I mean, I got a buddy who was a drilling engineer, and he, I guess, last downturn, wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything for about 2 years. During that time, he kind of went through a similar situation I did and all that stuff. And he had once he picked up work, he had someone go, "Hey man, how's that wife and kid?" He's like, "Well, got divorced 2 years ago. Thanks for checking in on me." Like, it was just one of those things where it's like, you got to be genuine about things. You can't call people when the work's about to be there or anything like that. But I mean, to me, just meeting people is just, you never know where it's going to go personally, or you never know how it's going to help them out either.
So let me ask you this, because you meet all walks of life. How do you disseminate what's worth your time and not worth your time? Because at the end of the day, you probably have to put a dollar value on your time, right? You have to be like, hey, listen, I just can't meet everybody. Or are you like, listen, I would rather meet 1,000 people, and out of those 1,000 people, 10 of them are going to be, I'm going to get somewhere with them. Or how do you look at that? Like, how do you quantify what it's worth?
I don't see, that's the thing though. It's like, I don't view that. I mean, just like, your conversation with Justin Gauthier about putting a personal stock on everyone. I don't view it that way. I mean, there's definitely people in the industry that you're like, man, he'll only talk to someone if it helps him out. You know what I mean? But
yeah, sure.
To me, honestly, like, I just try to meet, people. If it clicks, it clicks. If not, hey, thanks for the conversation. At least I met you. And if it's worthwhile, it's worthwhile. But if not, I mean, So, for example, let's say, John Smith in the street and all stuff, we meet each other. Like, it might not be beneficial for either one of us, but you never know. In 2 years, you're like, oh, shit, I need to call JP. He knows the hottest clubs and big, whatever it is. Stuff.
Sure.
It's like, well, I mean, you just never know. I mean, you meet all these people, which is great, which I love. I mean, you're in the industry too,
Oh, dude. So
I'm sure you network like.
Dude, I was, and I think I realized this in 2017, 2018. So I was networking so much that I was at a dinner, a happy hour, so much that I was like, dude, I have to start picking and choosing. Because there was times where I was doing 2 dinners a night because I was just so busy and everybody wanted to meet and this and that. And then
what were you trying to do then in your career though? Were you trying to grow your network? Were you trying to grow the business? What was your point?
Grow the business and the network, right? So it was one of those things where, we were trying to, grow, get more assets, just, organically growing.
Yeah.
But I was out so much that I'm like, dude, it just took such a toll on me mentally, physically. I was just like, I got to start being more choosy with who I meet, right? Like, I just can't
How did you do that? How did you put a value, not a value, but how did you select your dinners?
I hate to say this, but at that time I was meeting with everybody. But now I'm pretty selective with who I'll go out with, right? I have to see an immediate value, or I just like them as a person. Like for JP, I would all day, right? I could just be like, yo, let's go out, let's hang out. Like me and you have already talked about this. Let's get the wives together.
For the record, those are listening. This is the second time I sat down with Yousuf. We actually, I don't even know how we connected. I think there was an insult. I think there was an insult on Chuck Yates or something like that.
Oh God, screw that guy. First of all, let's talk about that for a second. Chuck Yates is the biggest idiot I've ever met. And if anybody sees Chuck Yates or Nimble Fatty on all of his LinkedIn, Galactic Viceroy, whatever bullshit title that guy's going by these days, just please tell him Yousuf Chaudhary says a big F you from me. So
that was actually, you took my thunder because I was going to read the exact same thing from me too, from JP Warren also. All right, so you can double bundle that.
Okay, deal. All right.
So that's the thing. So going back, I mean, that's the thing. We just connected randomly like a week and a half ago, and we just sat down, had a cup of coffee. What was the point? There was no point other than just to meet.
Dude, and what was it? We sat there for like an hour and a half just
until you were late to a meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, dude, this feels like I don't even want to get up. Like I could have just sat there all day talk, because you're talking to somebody who's a like-minded individual. You're a hustler. You can tell, dude. You got that personality. You can talk to anybody. Dude, we were talking about a chiropractor came up to us
for the Broncos, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, that type of stuff just doesn't. It once it naturally occurs, it just keeps on going. That conversation that day could have ended.
We had to shut him down.
Yeah,
he was still hanging out.
Oh, he wanted to be there. He wanted to be a part of that. He was just like, these two guys are cool. I want to be here.
So that's the thing, though. I mean, it was just like, I mean, a lot of people think they need to like reach out to people, like, oh, I'm gonna send Yousuf an email, but I don't have anything to talk about. Like, you don't have to have something to talk about. You can literally just say, hey, look, let me buy 30 minutes of your time, a cup of coffee, and just shoot the shit.
Yeah.
That's it. And then when we're walking out of there, we're talking about getting our wives together for a double date, probably in the beginning of May, and we're getting you on the podcast within a week and a half. So networking works.
Networking absolutely works. I mean, I've met so many people where it was just kind of like a bullshit connection through. There was actually a guy, I'm not going to say his name because he had
He's probably a listener.
Yeah, I hope so, because I got a deal done with him. I met this guy, just felt like the biggest dum-dum in the world, right? And we went to a bar here in Houston, and I wasn't drinking. I was literally just drinking an espresso shot, and he pours a shot of, or not a shot, he pours a glass of just gin. I mean, just straight, just gin. Just a big ass glass of gin. It looks like water.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, whatever floats your
I
boat.
love warm gin.
And he drinks like 5 glasses of it. And by the end of it, he can't tell left from right, right? He literally can't tell left from right. And he just starts talking about some of these deals he was doing. And then he was just like, yeah, there's this one deal I'm looking at, but I don't trust this guy. We're under PSA right now. I don't think he's going to close. Nobody knows what they're doing. And then I'm just like, yeah, dude, just tell me a little bit more about that. He starts talking. We ended up buying that deal. And it was a big deal. It was a $40 million plus deal. And it started from a guy drinking warm gin at the bar.
Warm 4 glasses
and
of warm
me
gin.
just sitting there. And I mean, if you've ever sat with somebody, which I'm not very good at it. If you're just drinking espresso and somebody has 4 glasses,
You want to get out of there.
Exactly. You're just like, God, dude, shut up.
I know.
I do not care about.
If you're sober, you can notice when people start getting intoxicated real quick.
Oh yeah, dude. After the first glass, you could tell this guy was like, just imagine, just a glass like that, but afterwards, I was just like, dude, that was the best time I've ever spent.
That was the most fruitful warm gin I've ever seen anyone drink.
Oh, me and him, every time he comes into town now he's just a buddy. Now we'll just get together, we'll talk, and he made a lot of money on that deal too, because he was technically he was a part of it. So yeah, it all kind of worked out. It all really worked out. And that was one of those things. And I think that was a big aha moment for me, because I was like so close to being like, I cannot believe I'm wasting my evening here with this guy. And then
you go
lo
home
and
and you're
behold,
like, holy shit, I'm glad I did that.
But you know what? I actually did put him on the spot. I was just like, listen, he was like, you would have to sign an NDA and do this and do this. And it was I think it might have been Steak 48. I went outside to my car, grabbed my iPad. I said, pull up your NDA. And I said, I'll sign it right now. And he was in a, relaxed enough state where he's like, okay, fair. He signed it. He put his name down. I signed my name. I said, all right, confidentiality set. We're good to go. Send me the data right now. And he literally just is, and he was a big deal at this company. He was like a managing director.
Yeah.
And he's sending in his analysts like, hey, give Yousuf access to this. And I think the next day, like even he was in his next day's email, he was backtracking. He's like, wait, listen, I want to be clear. Like, we have a PSA. And I'm like, no, man, I got this NDA signed. I'm moving quick now. Let's go. Like, I'm off to the races. And within 24 hours, I gave my valuation. He's like, dude, you're not that far away. And then I'm just like, okay, if I'm not that far away, I put it down on paper. I said, my number is this much. And I said, I'm ready to close on that right now. Let's go. And he was like, shit, man, they're thinking about it. The seller was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, tell them if they're thinking about it, counter me right now. And within maybe 48 hours, we had a signed deal. Because I was that was one of those times. And actually my dad told me about this. He's like, when the iron's hot, strike. Do not wait. Don't give them any time. Just go. I was going
to say that. It seems like, first off, I love how the old school way to do business over a paper napkin, which is your iPad.
Yeah.
That's a cool way. But second off, I mean, it sounds to me like, once, I don't know if this is your style or anything like that, your work ethic, but like once you hear something, you just guns up, go after it.
Because you know what it is when somebody thinks about something and they're just like, oh, but I don't know if Atlas has got the money. Do they got $40 million to spend? Do they got this? You can come up with a list of reasons. These guys aren't going to really buy it.
Not to do something.
Exactly. But when you put it in front of them, and that's why I always put the letter of intent in front of them. I'm like, all right, you don't think I can do it? Here. And I got zero financing contingencies. I'll pay this cash right now. I'll stroke a check. And when you put that in front of them, and it's me signing a binding letter of intent, they're like, well, shit, you can't just put that in writing. I mean, if they accept it.
You need to evaluate more.
Yeah,
you need to get with your back.
No, there's none of that shit. Our guys we're so lean.
Dude, I
and
love
quick.
that,
Yeah.
man.
That's just the way we work.
Have you always been that way where you're like, oh, this is happening? Let's get in there tomorrow?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. I would say that's kind of how I am. But I think my father exasperated that in me, because there were times where I was like, We just are doing a deal right now where I was going to wait till the end of a week on a deal. And
Just because why? It was a busy week, or you just wanted to give him time a little bit? Like, wait
Kinda
2
wanted to
days
give him time.
to give her a call?
2 days, literally the 2 days. I didn't want to text her right away after the date, right? It was such a
Bullshit.
good
Hey,
date.
you text.
No, exactly.
You let them know.
And I was at my dad's house that night at 6 p.m. I'm at his house, and he's just like, I'm telling him about the deal. And I'm like, I'm going to send an offer in on Friday. And it's like a Wednesday night. And he's just like, why?
Why wait?
He's like, send him that offer tonight. He's like, that's a deal you want. Don't be stupid. Write up that offer.
Act like you want it?
Yeah. I went home, wrote up the offer. If I would have waited till Thursday, he already had other offers in that were much higher than mine. But I got it at a lower
So
price.
that was kind of a lesson learned right there. Is like get after. What did your dad do? Is he in the oil? I'm guessing the oil.
Dude, he's oil and gas industry. He's the one started the company.
Okay.
He's the one started the company. I'm just
So it's a family company.
It's a family company. Yeah. Dude.
Okay.
It's awesome.
I'm not going to put that in your word, but is it great working for family?
There's a lot of people who hate it. There's a lot of people who love it. I'm a part of the boat that loves it because you get to work with my boss is my dad, which can be anybody who knows my father can be a little bit tough because Immigrant Story. I mean, he wrote a book about it. Immigrant Story did
What book?
From Dirt Roads to Black Gold. I'll get you a copy of it, man. It's a really good. Came to this country with $30.
You'll get me a signed copy.
I'll get you a signed copy, man. I will get you a signed copy.
From where? So where'd he come over here from?
From Pakistan. Came here when he was like 22. Couldn't speak English. Couldn't write. Couldn't do any of it. Right. He was just an immigrant. Came here.
So why did he come over here?
Better opportunity.
Okay.
Better life. And then American dream story. Comes over here. Starts oil and gas. Takes off.
Slow down. Was it difficult for him to get over here?
Oh yeah. It was literally like a big deal. Like the son leaving the village. Right. Because he literally was born in like a village. Like.
And what year did he do this?
78.
Oh, that's like a completely different world.
Different world, man.
It's like iPhone 1.
Yeah, dude, I don't even think they knew what iPhones were at that time. I think if we would all bought some Apple stock at that time, we wouldn't be working right now.
71, they were still probably out of the grocery. So wait, so he came over here, and how did he, I guess, didn't know English.
Didn't know English. Couldn't do anything. He was a taxi driver and a butcher.
Where?
In Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, so he came over there, and then he came to Kansas on a whim.
Okay.
His brother, my uncle, came over, told him, and my uncle was a petroleum engineer at Schlumberger at the time. He's like, dude, come over down Kansas. There might be something here in this oil and gas thing. My dad loved it. Took a 2-week vacation from his job in Alberta. Came down here. I'm moving down here. Came to Kansas and just hustled. 22-hour day kind of guy. And now he built this empire that
That is an unbelievable story.
It's an unbelievable story that I'm blessed enough that it's a literal and metaphorical example. He's literally given me the keys to the Ferrari, and he's like, don't fuck it up.
Well, it sounds to me that Eunice.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's the American dream right there.
He really is, man. He's a big like. I love America. Like this is the only country in the world where you can do something like this, where I would have the opportunities. Like you can't do this anywhere.
So how was that growing up with, I guess, someone with this type of, I guess, background and success story? And
growing up, I think when I was growing up, he was still, very much trying to become that successful person, right? Like he was working nonstop, like 7 days a week kind of guy.
Was that tough for you?
It was to a certain extent, but I was always a daddy's little girl, man. So I was always hanging around him.
Okay.
So I was always with him. He would take me to the field. On Saturdays, I'd go to the office with them.
So you'd have some exposure to like.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Go
So
on.
all that kind of stuff. So then when I was a kid, young. When I was, a youngster, he would send me to the fields, man. I would work on the rigs. I would work on, I've roused about it. I've been up in a dare. I've done everything. Anything you can imagine on the oil field, I've done it. But then, I kind of come back here and now kind of fast forward to where I am now. I'm a city slicker. Tonight, I'm actually going to the field where we're buying an asset and I'm going to go be looking at it, which I haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I miss that side of stuff. I miss that down home, being in the dirt, kind of doing that stuff. But at the same time, it's nice to also stay at the Four Seasons too. So yeah, so
I get it.
it's going to be a little bit different staying at the Executive Inn tonight for $29 a night. So
$29.95.
Yeah,
you get a complimentary continental breakfast. You're like, keep your croissants.
Yeah, exactly. I should see some cockroaches in my bed tonight.
So that was, I mean, you need that in Houston too, no problem. We'll take care of that. So my daughter actually did that to me the other day. Like, so
Put a cockroach in your bed?
a fake cockroach, yeah, because she thinks it's so funny that I'm scared of cockroaches.
Are you scared of cockroaches?
Bro, yes, I'm an adult. Of course I'm scared of cockroaches. I dropped her when she was 8 months old because of cockroach.
Oh, shit.
She loves this story. She thinks it's the funniest thing out there. Like, so I get home and like I buckle her up and all this stuff, and she's in this little bouncy chair, you know, and we're just going back and forth, and I put her up on the little butcher block, you know, the kitchen island.
Yeah.
Hey, little cockroach. Scared the shit out of me. I move back, I pivot, and as I turn, she wasn't hurt, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
she wasn't hurt and all that, but anyway, I tell her that story, you know, like, I told her one time, she thought it was the funniest thing ever. So for Christmas, she's like, "Hey, Daddy, I got you this. It's a very important gift for me. I made this from my heart." I was like, "Oh my God, this is so I'm gonna sit down for this. Hey, babe, Monica, my wife, I'm like, can you get this on video? Like, this is emotional for me."
Yeah.
Open it up, box of plastic cockroaches. I'm like, Jesus, I jump and all this stuff. She's like, "Got you. Yes, you're so scared of cockroaches." Like, she thinks it's hilarious.
Oh, man, kids are the best, man. Kids are the best. So I think my only fear is, I don't know if it's a fear. It's snakes. I got bit by a snake out in the field one time, and it wasn't poisonous. It wasn't bad. Yeah. Oh, poor me.
I was waiting for a better story.
Oh, no. There wasn't. I was scared as shit. So I hate snakes. Now I absolutely
like Indiana Jones. So you sympathize with Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, snakes on a plane is kind of my worst fear, and I mean, stupidest movie of all time. But holy shit, you want to talk about a horror movie? That's a horror
your
movie.
thing.
Yeah, dude, snakes. I don't like snakes. I think they're just. If I see a snake out in the field and I have a gun, I'm shooting it in the face. It's, you know, I don't care if you're just friendly or sitting over there. I'm shooting you in the face because I'm protecting somebody else. I mean,
I love how you're acting like snakes. You're like, "Hey man, I'm cool." Like they're just like hanging out. Like, no, we're good kids.
no.
We're going to school.
oh, I hate snakes, but cockroaches never really bug me actually.
Nice dad pun.
Yeah,
Bug me.
bug me.
Cockroach.
Hey man, I'm a dad now, so
I know.
I'm gonna get. I'm hitting people with these dad jokes now.
That's what I've been doing. And trust me, it kills my wife, but she still laughs at it, and my daughter loves it too. How is that right now? I guess. So how old's your child?
He's 15 months.
Okay.
He's at the peak of he's blabbering all the time.
Right.
Just blah 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 blah, just talking, running around, and he's running now. And my God, dude, the kid is. My nieces have affectionately named him Gremlin, and he's a tornado. He's like the Tasmanian devil. Like he'll go anywhere and he'll just start breaking stuff. So we went to my dad's house, and it's this thing. My dad's got all this stuff everywhere, and he goes and he just literally will take a plate and just break it and run away, go take something else and break it. And my dad is like, granddad. He's like, oh, no problem. It's good that he is breaking it. Yeah. And I'm just like, Pops, I'm like, what are you doing? This kid, he does the same stuff at our house.
Yeah, you're like, if we don't teach him no here, he's gonna do the same shit at our home.
Oh my gosh. And my dad's got a piano at his house, so he'll get on the piano and just start slapping the keys, right? And my dad's like, wow, look at this kid. He's like Mozart. And I'm like, dude, this kid is, he'll do the funniest stuff. And I'm just like, Pops, you know, why aren't you this? Was I ever Mozart? He's like, no, you're an idiot. What are you talking about?
You think you'll be bringing him to the office and taking him to the field and all that
Oh,
stuff?
hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, my dad. So he's very close to my dad, right? And so my dad is openly like, he's like, he'll bring him around. Like he'll talk to him about the stuff. And I'm like, he's going to be my dad's mini-me. I can already tell, which is, that'll be a blessing in itself because my dad is an awesome, smart person, right? So if he can be more like my dad than me, I'm winning.
So you kind of grew up around the oil field, and you actually fell in love with it, I guess.
Oh yeah, dude, I love it. I love the oil field. Like,
what do you love about it,
dude? Everything. The deal making process. Getting a well.
What attracted? Okay, first off, it sounds like it's very operational, and then it's very. What attracts you about the deal making process,
dude? Nothing makes me feel better. I mean, I will get at the sound of sounding erotic. My goodness,
man.
If
you're going to do that, doing the radio voice.
Listen, everybody, I have to tell you about getting a deal done. No, honestly, dude, I was about to give it to you. I want it. Nah, man, I don't want you to ruin it.
So what do you love about it?
Oh, man. It's when you can see something.
Yeah.
Or you can find a vulnerability in somebody else, right? Let's say that, and I don't know, maybe this is, a part of me is like, I have the win-win mentality, or a part of me is like, I want to win, I want you to lose. It depends who it is. Like a lot of times I do want a win-win. I want to win. I want you to win. I have a lot of people I work with that I'm like, hey, dude, let's get a ultimate deal together.
Well, isn't that like the success to like in like Harvard Business School, the key to success is when both walk away with something?
No.
It's not that way?
I think it's more successful when you walk away with everything and they got nothing.
Okay.
In certain situations, because there's people where, I mean, if I if I'm doing a deal with you, JP, I want both of us to win. It just makes more sense. We're going to be friends afterwards. We're going to like each other no matter what.
We're going to be the same circles.
Exactly. But there's people where they'll openly try to take advantage of you and this and that. And I'm like, you know what? I want to take you for everything you have. I want to take you for your house. I want to take you for.
How do you sniff out that angle? How do you sniff out that shit? Like, where? Is there something like they play a card? You're like, this part, Jesus.
There's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of little stuff, but a lot of it's intangible. A lot of it's the condescending nature. A lot of it's like, which it used to get me a lot in the beginning when I was a lot more young and aggressive. And if anybody would,
wait, you were more aggressive than this before?
Oh my gosh, you should have saw me. If you stab me, I was like, you better stab me in the head, because if I'm still alive, you're not going to be living after this, right? I was out for blood every day.
Okay.
And I mean, people in the office would tell you, like the guys that worked with me in like 2013 to like 2015, I was a nightmare.
What was that? Was that you just kind of the new kid on the block trying to prove yourself? Was
Exactly.
that kind of like
exactly? It was
what your dad taught you.
It was both. It was a lack of confidence, so I made up with it with aggression.
Okay.
And it was a lot of it. My dad was like, "Listen, it's kill or be killed," and I was like, "Well, listen, I'll rip out a jugular if I have to."
Right.
And I remember I would throw papers across the room. I would be in a conference room meeting with like a bunch of people there. And I would be like, and somebody would say something, well, we just can't do it. And I'm like, that's not good enough. I'm not accepting that answer. And they'd be like, well, what do you want us to do? And I'd just be like, listen, I'm sorry, you're too stupid to understand this. And I literally right then and there, I'd be like, just leave.
You're
not
a year or
this.
two out of school and you're working here and all that stuff. Next thing you know, you're the one that's at the table barking, calling the shots, barking, all that.
I realize now that I just
That's
sounded
bold.
like honestly, JP, I sounded like a petulant child just bitching, because that's how I would have thought it. I would have been like, this kid doesn't know what he's doing. And I still probably don't know what I'm doing. But
I don't know what I'm doing either. But what shifted in you?
You know what? I think I had to eat a lot of humble pie. I think I think there was a lot of times where I wasn't as right as I thought I was. And then I'm a self-reflective person. I was like, you know what? You're kind of doing this the wrong way. You need to fix this. And that's what I did. I was like, you know what? Start looking at things from a different angle. And I think my leadership ability has obviously changed that. And I think it's a lot better now. Before it was leading by fear, and now it's leading by, hey, listen, I'll do this with you. I'll get in the trenches with you.
So it's kind of leading by excitement.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's a lot of fun though. But there's a lot of times now that if I hear that somebody's like, oh, I remember a company told me in 2015 that, oh, I thought those guys were going bankrupt. I can't believe they're still around. And they got bought out in 2019, and I was so happy. I was just like, I'm like, I hope you guys burn to the ground. I'm like, because it pissed me off so much. And but we grew. We've actually, since 2015, we've tripled in company size. It's actually been it's been a lot of fun, man, being able to grow like that. So it's exciting. And the way I look at deals is that's just the way I look at them. Like, I can see stuff I can see when somebody's in trouble, and when somebody, I mean, telltale sign pretty much in anything, in like any sort of sales, I mean, basic stuff. When somebody is openly convincing me that they're wealthy and they're rich and they don't have to sell and they don't have to do this, they're in trouble.
Bullshit.
They're in trouble. And then as soon as if I smell the blood in the water, I'm attacking.
How did you deal with, I guess, I mean, even to this day, I mean, how do you deal with, like, I guess, losing a deal or a big deal of losses or something like that? I guess the previous you versus how you deal with it now.
If I'm being honest, if I put a lot of time and effort into something and I lose it, I'm sad.
Yeah.
I am sad. I'm angry. I'm sad. Just recently, I lost a deal that even now, like, I still think about it. I should have kept bidding on it, and it was a live auction.
Does that motivate you or just piss you off?
Both.
Okay.
Both. A part of me is just like, I got to do better, but a part of me is like,
what else could I have done?
What could I have done? Yousuf, you're a dumb piece of shit. I'm very, harsh on myself.
Do you talk? Are you negative talker?
Oh yeah. I'm a big time. You talk to any therapist, they'll tell you I'm a self-deprecating asshole. So I mean, I'll just be like, you idiot, you're just not smart enough. You just couldn't see it, and I'll just sit there. But I remember after I got the deal done, it was on Zoom, and everybody's there, and there's a few people in our conference room, including
on Zoom.
Yeah, and
you like that?
I hate it. I hate it. I miss a personal touch because I could have known if I was there in person, I would have picked up on the other guy that was outbidding me. I would have
Really?
picked up on the little shit that he would have been doing, that he would have kept going.
But you're kind of restricted to that one screen and the mute and all
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
But if everybody was there that was bidding, I would have sniffed out right then and there who were the serious buyers, who was my competition. And I never thought this guy was my competition until at the very last minute. I'm like, this guy's coming.
Well, no wonder it bit you so hard.
And I remember I was sitting there and I had my notepad and I was writing. And we got done and we closed the Zoom and I was sitting there and everybody's like kind of silent. And then they're just like, yeah, it probably wasn't a good deal, this and that. And I took and we have a big glass conference room, and I took my pad and I just threw it across, and I threw my pen and I threw all this other stuff. And I was yelling. I was just like, I'm like, you stupid motherfucker. I was just screaming, right? And I just left. And then I remember I went home that night and I went from anger to like, talking to my wife about it. I'm like, yeah, I should have got this deal done. I was very somber about it. And then even to this day now I'm like, you get past it over, a day or two. But I think about every deal that I miss. I think about every single one.
How do you pick yourself up after that?
You know what? I think enough scar tissue after a while, you're just kind of like, it
is what it is.
Charge it to the game after that. That's the best thing that you can do. I'm just not good at it yet.
Do you gamble?
Oh, big time.
I was going to say.
I'm a big time gambler.
Because it sounds to me, I'm envisioning this room with all these people going around and all that stuff, and you're just sitting there like, this dude's clicking his pen, this guy's tapping his foot.
Oh yeah, I'm a big time gambler. But my favorite kind of gambling is roulette. Because that's really gambling. Poker is blackjack.
That's odds.
That's odds. Roulette, you have no clue.
That's out of it.
And I love that. I love that. So I will always go. My thing is I'll go black. And I'll put everything on black, and I'll just do it every time. Like,
so just a simple strategy.
Very simple, but I'll follow different tables. I'll just kind of wait. A lot of times I'll see who's winning, and I'll just go to their table and I'll just put it on there. I'll go opposite to the table, and that really pisses people off usually.
Yeah.
And I've done that actually in Singapore. Me and my wife did it. She had never been gambling. She'd never been on a casino.
What were y'all doing in Singapore?
Oh, just traveling, man.
Dig that.
We were going to Singapore, Bali. And they had this really nice casino there, and she had never been gambling. So I bet $500, just go in, bet $500 on black, make it back, make it $1,000. And I'm just like, that's it, we're done, right? Made $1,000. Let's go to dinner. We went to dinner, had a great dinner.
Pepper crab?
It's a pepper crab. Oh, all the.
I know what you're talking about, baby.
Hell yeah!
I'm right here.
And we had a good dinner. And we come back, and I'm like, all right, you want to gamble a little bit more? And she's like, yeah. I should have left. I ended up losing like $5,000, but I was like, man, that sucks. But she was just like, why do you do this? Like, this is stupid. Like, it was fun for a while, but I made another guy lose. He was just Singapore money. He was betting like $10,000 per like number. And I'm just like, yeah. And I was like, and he had a guy with him that would just kept on giving him chips. So he would just go number. And I'd be like $200 on like black. And he would lose like $20,000 a hand, and I'd just be like, "Hey, I just want $400." And I would just follow him to every table. After a while, he just got up and left. He was just like, he was literally like, if I would come to a table, he would just get up and leave. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go to whatever.
Just because you go against all.
And it pissed him off, obviously. But then he was back, and it looked like he was making money again. So yeah, I'm a big time gambler.
And your wife's kind of does it just to have fun, but she's not committed to it.
Yeah, she'll just hang out there with me, just kind of one of those fun things. We'll just be doing it. She's a pretty adventurous person, so we've done a bunch of different shit. I mean,
y'all travel a lot.
We travel a lot. We haven't traveled since COVID, so we've been oh my god.
Well, and also the baby too.
The baby too.
Bear.
But Bear, man. Bear's a.
I remember.
You remember.
So he brought up his son's name when we first had coffee, and I actually just remember Bear, right?
Bear.
That's
Bear.
Badass
Bear
name.
Chaudhary, man. He's gonna be a bear. He's gonna save the Texans. He's gonna be everything I wasn't in life.
So y'all weren't able to travel.
We weren't able to travel, and now we're like we are like waiting to. Like, all right, we're going to get out. We're going to go somewhere. But we've never taken Bear on a plane, so I'm kind of worried about that.
That's the thing. So is it when you first off, where would you and your wife go first off? Second off, would it be a family trip? Because traveling with, I mean...
See, I'm one of those dads where I'm just a sappy dad where I don't think I'd have as much fun without Bear. That's one thing. So
that's sweet.
I'm still at that part of my life with the poor little guy that I'm just like, man, it's funner, like, because he's experienced everything for the first time. I remember like my wife like blowed bubbles in front of him, and he took it and he went nuts.
Mind blown.
Yeah, mind blown. I mean, he had cotton candy for the first time this Saturday. My dad gave it to him, and he takes this cotton candy and he takes it, and he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't even know it's food, and he puts it in his mouth. His eyes open up, and he just snatches more, like a handful of it, and just takes off running and just shoving it into his mouth.
Sticky hands and
yeah.
face.
Oh
everywhere.
my gosh. And I'm like, when I think of cotton candy, I'm just like, okay, cotton candy, right? But this kid just tried it for the first time. It's all these little things that he tries for the first time. Like I gave him ice cream for the first time. Like there's all these like little stuff. The one thing I won't give him is Coke. That's the one thing, man. That is the one thing I won't give him.
Coca-Cola.
Coke, yeah, Coke.
They're a Pepsi house.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
That's yeah, he's a little young for the other
Good.
Yeah. He's got to wait at least 4 or 5 years for that.
Wait till pre-K.
Hey man, we're responsible adults here, okay? Yeah, so it's just been I don't know. We would go anywhere at this point. Literally, I think me and her would actually go anywhere. Like I think we're
Just
talking
to
about
get
like LA, New York, anywhere. We'll go anywhere. Like
Y'all been doing any traveling trips around Texas or not? Just staying at the house?
No, man. We went to Austin for a day, but we didn't stay there.
Okay.
We actually did drive to Toronto last year. We drove to Toronto.
So family in Toronto, correct?
Family in Toronto. My in-laws are there. We went up there. We saw them. The grandparents got to see Bear for the first time. So that was a lot of fun. That was actually, we had a bunch of fun there. Toronto's a lot of fun, especially in the summertime. It's a cool spot.
Dude, I've heard Toronto's like a blast. Like
Dude,
a
in the
complete
summertime,
blast.
Patio weather, it's awesome.
That's legit. Do you still have family in Pakistan too?
Nobody over there. Well, I think we might have family, but I don't know.
No connections or anything like that?
No, I've never been. I don't think I want to go.
That's fine.
I think they'd probably try to kidnap my ass.
That's fine. I dig it. I dig it.
I don't know. I mean, I would probably go, but I'd probably take some security with me.
Well, yeah. I concur about that. So tell me. So let's kind of switch gears here. So talk to me about this podcast that you do and what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you got started, and all this. Give me the inception of it to where you're at now.
So what happened was I went on a podcast with our mutual friend Justin Gauthier, and I did his podcast.
Did you know him before?
No. First time I'd ever met him.
Really?
First time I'd ever met him. And actually,
he's legit.
Dude, he was the first person to ever find out that my wife was pregnant, actually. I was sitting there. I got the news, and I'm just like, Justin.
Was this on the podcast?
Not on the podcast. And he's just sitting there, like, and he's got this Canadian accent. He's like, bro, congratulations. And he's just like, he's the happiest guy in the world.
That's wicked awesome.
Yeah. He gets you with the A. I mean, it's just, it was actually a nice moment that me and him shared. Did that podcast. Colin and Jake have been, Colin is, I've known him for a couple of years now. Yeah. And then I've known Jake for like 7-8 years and just been good friends. And they were I came on, did a podcast with them. They told me it did really well. People liked listening to it, whatever it was, whether they
just don't. Here's the deal. I'm going to stop you right there. If you're just negative self-talk yourself, you got to positive self-talk yourself right now.
Okay.
Why do people like that podcast?
Because I'm the motherfucking best.
Because you bullshit. I'm a badass motherfucker. That's why. All right. Okay, that's on your wallet.
Okay, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Now I feel I got my confidence back up. So it was a good podcast. It did well for them, and they were just like, why don't you do a podcast? And yeah, nothing really came out of it.
So nothing. Okay.
Nothing came out of it at that time. And then internally, when I wasn't able to network, one of the board guys was just like, well, how do we network? And I'm like, I'm not going out. I'm not seeing people. I don't know how to network right now. I'm like, we just got to wait it out. And he's like,
what month was this? Was this
July
like March
2020?
Okay,
July 2020.
A couple months in. Okay.
Yeah, July 2020. So we talk about it. I'm like, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I'm not doing it. And December rolls around. And I'm like, all right. And I start talking to Jake and Colin about it. And Jake's like, dude, do it. We'll run with this. And then a few other people kind of said, hey, we'd love to have you under our umbrella and this and that. I'm like, well, if I'm going under umbrella, I'm going under my boys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not, I'm doing it on my own.
Did you shop it around?
I didn't shop it around, but a few people kind of reached out to me. Well, I guess technically
did they hear you were doing one?
Yeah. So two of them I did shop around. I just talked to them. I was just like, hey, any tips? And they were just like, yeah, we got a tip for you. Come join our podcast,
gotcha.
right? And we'll give you this. We'll give you this. We'll give you a salary. And I'm like, dude, I don't care about the salary. I'm not going to be your employee. Like I have a job. This is just a side gig. And they were just like, okay, cool. And I told Jake about it, and I'm just like, listen. And then obviously, it's kind of the loyalty piece for me. I was like, if I'm going under umbrella, I'm going with the Digital Wildcatters guys. So I did that, and that was it, man. It was just kind of took off from there. And I did my first 2 episodes with Jake and Colin. Jake kind of introduced me to Chuck at that time, kind of like, hey, have you heard of the Chuck Gates character? And I'm like, no, this just sounds like the stupidest name I've ever heard.
It is the worst Chuck.
Yeah, I'm like,
he called Charles.
Yeah, I don't know what his real name is. I hope it's Charles or something. I don't know, but the stupidest name I've ever heard. And then I'm like
Charlotte.
Yeah, and I'm like, I got to meet this guy. So actually, me and Chuck, we do meet in person. Well, people will, I guess, realize I'm obviously being facetious.
Yes,
me and Chuck are good friends. Other than the fact that he's an absolute moron.
All y'all do is just fuck with each other. I love that. Though.
Yeah, I mean. It's my go-to thing on Twitter now is that I do not like Twitter.
I don't even know how to use Twitter.
I don't like it, man. I think EFT is I mean, it's cool and everything. And
careful.
I'm not art, dude. Those guys can try to cancel me all they want. I don't give a shit.
All right, there you go. I was gonna say once they get going on these memes and start picking on someone, it's just relentless. It's hilarious. Though.
It's gonna be funny. I hope they meme the shit out of me.
It's so funny.
Meme me to death, EFT. You guys are all losers.
So how did you find the topic? So tell me about your podcast first off.
Sir, okay, so it started coming around. So me and Jake were talking about like name ideas, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. And then he threw out, or I threw out, one of us threw out Oil Money, and I'm like, that's the douchiest name I've ever heard. I'm like, I'm not naming my podcast Oil Money.
Perfect.
And then I think I was just kind of asking people, I'm like, what do you think of Oil Money? What do you think of Oil Money? And everybody's like, yeah, that works. And then I was like, Jake, I think the douchiness works here. And then Jake's just like, hey, dude, he's like, I just hired a rapper to do your intro song. And I'm just like, you did what? And then he sends me
that's a Houston rapper, right?
That's a Houston rapper. And he does this intro song, and I've never heard of the guy, never met him.
What's his name? Do you want to plug him?
I have no idea who he is. I would absolutely plug him because he's given
Poor
me.
guy.
And what's his face? Jake's like, dude, I just got him going, and I just literally told him like 5 or 6 adjectives about you, and he just rapped that. And I'm like, dude, that's pretty good.
It's pretty legit.
In the beginning, I thought it was kind of cringy, but then I was starting to, and then everybody in the beginning is like, dude, that intro is pretty cool.
It's
and
legit.
I'm just like, in the beginning, I was just like, fuck you, man. I'm like, you're just making fun of me. And then I realized, it's kind of catchy.
It kind of, honestly, like it kind of sets the stage. Like you're a guy that doesn't give a shit. You're like, yeah, this is me, man. Oil Money. Like this is my raps, my personalized raps. So deal with it. If you don't want to deal with it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it started. And then I just started using it as a networking tool. And then what happens is, which I'm really, really bad at it, is I get so busy with work sometimes is that I actually forget to record sometimes. And then now I actually have episodes kind of coming out every week now, but man, I didn't realize what a job it is. So for guys like you, man, who are pumping out 90 episodes in a year, dude, kudos. That's awesome. Like it is. I realize the hustle is real.
Where do you do your where do you record them at?
So I record mine at our Atlas operating office. I literally just took one of the offices there and I set up the mics. And I remember Jake was like, so I had my assistant. I'm just like, hey, just buy a podcast setup. And Jake came by there and he's like, dude, this is like Joe Rogan quality.
Oh, it's legit?
It's really legit. And I'm just like, oh, great, thanks. I'm like, I didn't know how much podcasting equipment's supposed to cost.
No, it is, buddy.
And it was like $3,000. I'm like, that makes sense. That's how much it's supposed to cost. I realize now that's quite a bit.
You had no frame of reference, dude.
I had no frame of reference. So it's a really nice studio setup. I still have to figure out my audio. My audio's kind of messed up.
Is it really?
It's some people come in and out. So if you're not really close to the mic, so it's like I'm like right here. It's like kind of picks up. So when I get closer to the mic, like I don't have it set up properly.
But I just think that's anything though. So who do you for your pod, who do you target? What kind of guests do you target?
So I'm actually
what is the purpose of it?
So the purpose of it is honestly to get actually to increase the networking, honestly, to meet cool, interesting people that have done cool things in the oil and gas industry and other industries like it. I mean, there's so many different kinds of industries. And this episode that's coming out this week, there's a guy, he's the CEO of, good guy. I mean, one of my beginning mentors when I first started. He's the CEO of RMX Resources, oil and gas energy in California. And what he's done is he's actually started using his flare gas into crypto. And I was like, how do you even do that? He uses that as crypto mining. And he goes into detail about it. Some of the coolest stuff I've ever heard. And I was like, dude, why don't we do that? And he's like, you should do that. And I started looking into it, and it's cool stuff like that. So I'm targeting people who are in, I don't want to necessarily say management positions, because sometimes the management positions can get really boring.
Yeah.
Man. Like, I mean, some guys I talk to, like they're just a brick wall, right? And you can tell what they're doing. They're
I kind of feel like once people get to a certain stage, they feel they act a certain way. You know, like it kind of gets to like a boring level, like executive vice president, completely bored level.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the most boring guy I know, dude. It's like, so I'm an anomaly, right? A lot of people will talk about it, how I am an anomaly. Like I don't like, and I think it's just I'm in a blessed position where, unless I, do something really stupid, I pretty much have job security. I have all the stuff that kind of, and I think I have a track record of getting stuff done where I can say the occasional, stupid proverb and get away with it. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's kind of one of those things where a lot of guys that are in my position, they have to care about their fiduciary duty, this and that. There's a few guys that they were about to come on, and then like a day before, they're like, "Hey, listen, we're not allowed to. We're just, you said fuck on your podcast, and that just goes against our company's culture." And I'm like, "Yeah, no worries, dude." I'm like, I get it. I'm like, it's understandable. I don't fault them for it, but I'm also like, you know what? It kind of takes away from. I want to bring on a certain level of guest,
the personality,
but I'm seeing a lot more of the guys that I want to even talk to, or the guys that are fun, are the younger guys. There's some younger executives that I just love, that I think are cool guys, man. I've met some very interesting people. I mean, just through my times in the oil field, I've met some crazy people. I've met some interesting people. I've met some people that have threat. Dude, a guy I remember on LinkedIn, I forgot what it was. He sent me a death threat.
Wait, what?
Yeah, an actual death threat. And LinkedIn took it down. Like I don't know how it got. I guess LinkedIn,
about what? An episode?
He literally, I have no idea. It was a fake profile, and he was just like, it was like broken English. He was like, "You are non-Muslim, you will go die," and blah blah blah. It just didn't make any sense. And then I love
the accent, by the way. Yeah. Like that was very stereotypical. You gave him that accent. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, who else was it? I mean,
it could be, hey, I can do non-Muslim. Yeah. You shall die. Like anyone can do that.
Yeah, I don't know what he was. No, but he was pissed that I was a non-Muslim. So I'm assuming he was a real Muslim, I guess. I don't know. And then I just responded with a simple "fuck you." That's all I said. And then he responded back, and he's what?
Fuck you, Habibi.
No. Yeah, he's responded back. What is "fuck you" 7 question marks? And I got a good laugh out of it. And LinkedIn they were just like, it's been flagged for like a threat against it. And I'm just like, okay, well, I guess LinkedIn's following my.
That'd be some great. Oh, Big Brother's spying in right now.
Exactly. My FBI agent's watching over me. Yeah, I've gotten all sorts of things. And that's what I don't like about EFT. I think that's my biggest issue with EFT is that I don't like so I understand it why people are anonymous, because a lot of these guys have jobs at big companies.
They can't express what they wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. So I get that, right? But a part of me is like, you know what? If you're going to have such a polarizing take of being like, hey, screw you to this person or screw you to that person, dude, show your face. If you are going to talk shit about somebody, which I'm a big believer in this, I would say this to Chuck's face as, to anybody, right? If I have a problem with you, I'd rather talk about it to your face or just don't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like EFT has given this mask to the community where either people are
a mask and a platform.
And that's what I got a double take on it, man. Like I get it. I like a part of it. I think it's cool. I get it. You got to take care of, number one. But at the same time, I just don't like it when people are I remember when I went to the Digital Wildcatters party, I was meeting random people and I'm like, are you one of the assholes who talk shit to me online? And they're just like, oh, no. And they wouldn't tell me. I'm like,
half of them probably were.
And I'm like, what's your name online? And none of them would tell me. A few of them did.
Yeah, you just asked me before we started recording if I was anonymous. I'm like, no, dude.
No, now I know, dude. You're around the Rotary. Okay,
now
because I know you as JP. So I think I follow you on Twitter, dude. I don't even know who
I'm the same way, dude. I don't even know.
I don't know anything about my Twitter.
I don't replies or tweets or read. I'm the same way.
I met a lot of cool people off of it. There's a few people that I really like. I met a few people at that party, which I won't dox them, that I found out who they were in real life, which they were cool people, man. And that's what kind of pisses me off, because I'm like, dude, you're the kind of guy I would hang out with. Why don't I just get to know you?
But it probably allows people to have, I guess, that amenity or anything like that. I guess it allows people to kind of get it out of their system. Like, oh man, they're sitting in board meetings all day. Like, I just wish I could say this, and they just have that opportunity too. It's like, okay, so you kind of get that.
I get it. It's fair. It's definitely it's a fair understanding. I think I just get pissed off about it because
you don't know who you're talking to.
I don't know who I'm talking to.
That
right?
grinds your gears.
If I'm going to talk shit to somebody or they're going to talk shit to me, I mean, you can see my face. You can know where I am. I put it in my profile. I'm the EVP of Atlas Operating. You can come find me anytime you want. Email me, text me, whatever.
Have a cup of coffee with me.
Yeah, literally have a cup. If you're going to meme me to death, which I'm probably going to get memed to death after shitting on EFT, just get to know me first. How about that? That's my and
then shit on me.
And if you still hate me afterwards, which you probably will, that's fair. I mean, you can meme me to death. I got it coming, but it's kind of I have one of those. I'm not as sensitive as some people on Twitter. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. I mean, I've gotten a lot worse. Let's put it that way. There's not much I haven't already heard. So
here's the deal, man. I think in this. I mean, I think if you're an individual, you know what I mean. If you're an individual like yourself, you're sitting there, you got your sleeves rolled, you got some tats. I want to bring up like your tat. I mean, you're sitting there, you're yourself. You know, you're vocal. You kind of speak from your cuff and you shoot from the hip and all this stuff. And you gotta have some sense of humility and just kind of laugh at it. If someone makes fun of you about something, it's like, yeah, I would too. If I saw it, I would do the exact same thing. You gotta laugh at all.
You know, that's happened to me one time. So I parked my car and I had a Light Flex. I had a Ferrari at the time, and I parked my Ferrari, and these young kids and a girl were just sitting there taking pictures of it, and they were just talking shit about it, and they were just like, "Did you see the guy like that owns this?" And then I was walking up to it, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that guy's such a douche. And I was like, yeah, he is, isn't he? And I'm like, yeah, man. And I just get in the car, and they're like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, dude, I don't care. Like I've literally heard it all. I've seen quite.
You're
not
worried about it. You're not worried about it.
It doesn't make a difference. It's kind of funny.
It doesn't stick with you. Either you choose to let things stick. Like there's some people that there's some shit that happens like earlier in their day, and it just sticks in their day. They take it home to their families. They do this and that. You gotta let things go.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'm not a grudge holder at all. Like there's people that that screwed me in the business, and there's people that I've screwed in the business. And it's always been like, you know what, dude? Let's shake hands. Let's get over it.
Yeah, it's too much effort.
It is way too much effort to hate each other. So I'm a big believer in that.
So are you excited about the future of our industry in the short term?
Dude, I'm extremely excited. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm going
to peel these layers. Talk to me. What are you excited about?
I think that oil and gas, I don't think like oil is going up to 100 or 200, whatever the hell else people think, right? I think oil and gas.
And if it does, that's not, talk to me about it.
It's not sustainable.
Do you think it's good if it goes that high?
No.
Like people are always like sharing, promoting, like, oh yeah, 100 by the sun, but like that's not good.
That isn't good because then
there's an eventual crash sooner than later.
And the crash is going to come no matter what. So I think we're going to go post-summer. I think we're going to go into the 40s for a little bit. But I think 50 is going to be our new normal until, because, I think the whole thing with Trump was, which I have no political agenda and anything. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I think while the current administration is doing what they're doing, I think it's fine. I think there's nothing that's going to really happen. I think oil's going to stay steady here. I think what I am seeing in the deal market is that people think they all have a lottery ticket, and and it's stupid. Like, how do you convince them that you don't have a lottery ticket?
What do you mean lottery ticket?
So everybody thinks their assets is the gold standard, right? So if they have a field over here that I want to buy, and I'm like, hey, this field's worth $1 million. They're like, yeah, it's worth $1 million, but you have to pay me $2 million for me to sell it because oil's going up. We got some wind behind us, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, why would I pay double the value? That doesn't make any sense to me. And they're just like, well, then don't buy it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to. Don't worry. And there's these buyers out there, this private equity money that's coming out that they're willing to buy at such ridiculous prices that people think that's the new baseline, which it's not. It obviously isn't. And I know this because I'm the one buying the deals. I'm the one cutting the check for these deals. And I'm just like, this is stupid. I wouldn't ever pay for this. Like, there was a deal that we were doing, and I'm like, this is almost double what the value is. I'm like, what is wrong with people? And I remember the broker's like, dude, I don't know myself. I don't know how that's going. The people are paying like a normal payout is like 36 to 40 month payout, right? People are paying 60 to 62 month payout. I'm like, I don't get that. Like it blows my mind why people do that.
Isn't overbuying all that? Isn't that what kind of brought us into this shitstorm initially?
People have a short memory for some reason. They don't.
We
remember
never
that we were
remember
-37 last year.
We never remember that,
and that's what it kind of pisses me off. But I'm like, the people who are going to get burned are going to get burned, and the people who aren't going to get burned know how to stay steady. Which we're one of the companies who can stay steady. We're very proud that we've never declared bankruptcy. The banks love us. Everybody kind of. I would say loves us that, from a financial standpoint, we're in a pretty good position that, we're, whenever we're doing deals, we look at them from a perspective of, we're not going to go sign up a deal and go find financing. If we're signing up a deal, we already got that money ready to go, right? Yeah. And that puts us in a pretty good position. And that's how we actually close on a lot of stuff. It's kind of being ahead of the curve in that way. So I think the oil and gas industry for the next, at least at minimum, the next 12 months is going to be pretty cool. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's happening, and I think some of these big boys are going to have to keep, the Pioneer Double Eagle, and I don't want to say those guys specifically, but
that's an example.
A lot of people are going to have to start, kind of merging because that's the only way they're going to be able to survive. And I think that's going to be a common trend, and I think the mid-size operator is going to be the new king.
Does that excite you when those majors kind of start kind of gobbling up each other?
Yeah, because you know why? I see that personally, and I could be absolutely wrong. I could be misreading it, but I see it as fear. I think they're just afraid to have that exposure by themselves, and they're just like, well, why don't we get out while the getting's good, right? And then when they do that, when they combine their assets, a company already has their own non-core areas, right? Especially a company like Pioneer, they have a huge they have whole teams that are focused on their non-core assets, right? So now you have two companies of that size that have a team like that. I go in and I'm just like, hey, knock knock. You have these non-core assets that are chicken shit to you, but I'll take them and I'll pay this much money and I'll take all the liability off your hands and I'll buy it in cash. You don't ever have to worry about it again. In the beginning, they're going to be like, oh, screw you, we're not going to do that. But then they start thinking about it. Then they're just like, oh, that would be good to get rid of. And it's all about if you find the right guy there, you kind of get something done. And that's what actually pisses me off about EFT. I've met some people that are kind of like, it's weird that, I know where they work out because of EFT. And I'm like, what are we going to kind of do about it now? But it's all about who you know at these companies, man. So it does excite me when people just start eating each other up. I think it's fear. So I like that.
I take that.
Yeah.
We're gonna pause real quick because
we got a handsome man.
We got a handsome devil who's the president of the Young Professional Association of the Petroleum Club. As I said before, we're doing this at the Petroleum Club.
You're looking good today, dude.
Oh, he's always the first time I met him, he's looking great.
No, the first time I met him, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, he's tall, handsome.
I didn't cut it out. I don't need any more women in my life.
Thank God we're not doing video.
Oh no, we don't want to ruin anybody's underwear today.
All right, we're gonna pause this. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Jeff Allen with Allen Energy, also the president of the Young Professionals Association or something like that.
Yeah.
For the Petroleum Club of Houston. And obviously, this is we can give them a little quick plug real quick. This is an awesome.
I love this place.
I would love it if this became kind of a staple for like kind of guys and girls getting together and kind of networking, because I feel like in every other city it's a very strong petroleum club
for sure
atmosphere. I feel like here, I would love to grow that, and I think that's kind of the part of doing this kind of a podcast here. But hey, man, we're kind of talking for a little bit too long, which isn't a bad thing. It's
never
not a bad thing. And honestly, I would love to have you on again so we can always pick up some more bullshit at a different point. We can talk about after you get roasted by EFT. That's going to be fun. But what else you got? Well, wrap us up. Wrap us up.
I mean,
plug your podcast, talk about your company, and any other message.
Yeah, of course. So obviously, Oil Money Podcast. Subscribe, listen. You don't even have to subscribe. Just listen. Tell me what you think. Leave the comments.
Very low effort.
Yeah.
On the listeners out there.
Yeah,
click that button.
Yeah, I'd like it if you subscribe, but if you don't, you don't. It's all right. It's all good. Take a listen. I'd love to hear more about what people actually want to hear on the podcast versus what I've been kind of putting out there. Is it good? Is it bad? So, hit me up, roast me if you'd like, all good. And then obviously Atlas Operating is my main role, which is, our biggest thing right now as a company is we're growing and we are looking for deals. We've been snatching them up here and there. So, you anonymous people out there or anybody listening to this podcast, which I'm sure there's a ton, if you got any deals, man, if it's producing, throw it my way. I'll pay money for it.
Yousuf, first off, man, I really enjoyed this conversation. I did not hit on any of the points I wanted to bring up with you, which is why it was so fun.
Seriously, man.
And that's
this
the
was a lot
thing,
of
man.
fun.
It's just a good, genuine bullshit conversation. It's the second time we met, and honestly, I'm looking forward to kind of hanging out more in the future. But I've really enjoyed just your attitude, kind of your style. Shoot from the cuff, and I dig it, man. I really do. So
appreciate it. This has been an actual you're making me rethink my whole podcasting style because this was too much fun, man.
Well, man, if you ever need a co-host, pop in on one show or two.
Hell yeah,
I'd love to hang out with
Let's
Alex.
do it.
All right, let's do it.
do
But everyone, thanks for tuning in around the Rotary again. Check them out. Check out Petroleum Club of Houston. Check out Oil Money Podcast. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.